So we've got this a.o.smith hot water heater. We put it in about a year ago. But I noticed that it tripped the breaker and it's not heating up real well. It gets hot, but then it doesn't stay hot for very long. It gets up maybe 100, just over 100 degrees. So usually what that means is that it broke the lower element, or the lower element's burned out. Seems like it's the case. It's only a year old, but we've been having trouble with the water softener, which is why we bought a new one of those too. I need to get that put in here, but the hot water heater is more important. So we're gonna pop that cover off and we're gonna see what's going on with that element. The lower element is under this cover right here on the bottom. So there's a Phillips head screwdriver you need. Just pop the cover off. There's just one screw in the top. It'll come right off. This is what it looks like under there. And then the actual element is under the insulation. And then there's a safety cover here. Gray safety cover that says be careful, there's electricity under there. So to diagnose the problem, we take this cover off, and then on the bottom here where you can see the element, there's two pins, and take a voltmeter and go across these two pins, and you should be getting around 240 volts. If you are getting 240 volts here and still not getting hot water, that means their element is the problem here and everything else is working on the hot water heater. So the next step is to shut off the water and to drain all the water out of the hot water heater, as well as shutting off the power to the hot water heater, very important. We're going to go ahead and shut that milk house hot water heater off before we start messing with any electricity there. And then here there's two wires, both 120 going to the element, and we just loosen those wires up. So we've already shut the power off, so then we can just go ahead and get on there with the screwdriver and loosen them up. And just loosen them up a little bit and that wire will come right out of there. There we go. Do the next one. And then we can get our element wrench on there. So now both of the wires are loose. We've got this element wrench that we keep on hand because it seems like once a year, once every couple of years we're changing out the elements. And it's like 10 bucks from your local hardware store. Anybody that sells plumbing stuff should have one. So well worth it instead of trying to get in there with pliers. It's hard to get at that element. So here's the element wrench, and it just fits right up under there. And then make sure it's all the way on the element, and then you pop it loose. And I'm holding on to the camera, but it doesn't take much to do it. There it goes. So make sure you have the water drained before you do that. There's the drains right here. It just takes a screwdriver. We've already got that loose, a flathead screwdriver. So this is what the new element looks like. So I think they're 20 bucks or so, 15 bucks. Try to buy the best one you can, I guess. So this is what the element looked like after we pulled it out. And you can see here that it was broke, that it had melted down even a little bit. And that is what the problem was, obviously. And it seems like it's always the lower element that burns out on them, because that's the one that does most of the work. And you can see all this line scale here. That's because our water softener's not working right. But we'll have to get that fixed, otherwise we're just gonna keep throwing elements at it, and that's not gonna really solve any problems. So anyway, there we are. Hopefully that make sure you shut off your water before you attempt this, and make sure you shut off the electricity before you start messing with it. And then I would recommend draining the water out, because it's probably, if your hot water heater is not working, it's probably not hot, but I would just recommend draining that out first before you start messing with it, because obviously hot water can burn you and that's not a good time. But it's usually that lower element, and if you drain all the hot water out, you can check, you can use your voltage tester, and usually they'll show an open circuit if they're broke, you know, if it's open. So just go across these two studs here, and if it looks like mine, then it's gonna show an open circuit there. And that, before you tear it out, that'll tell you if it's bad or not. Usually, sometimes there's some water in there, it'll just barely be touching, and it'll kind of trick you, but that usually works. I've never actually had the thermostat go bad on one, but I always keep one just because we gotta have hot water all the time here. So, but usually it's that element, that lower element, because that one does most of the work. All right, so we got the new element in there. So we just slide the lower wire under there. It doesn't matter which one you put. Oh, where did I put my screwdriver? Right here. Doesn't matter which one you hook up where, but just make sure it's under there and tighten that one up, and then slide that one under. Make sure it's all the way under. The other leg of the 220, connect it, pull the safety cover down along with the insulation, cover it up, put the cover back on, grab your screw, tighten her up, you're ready to go. So one last thing here, make sure you turn on the water before you turn on the power of the hot water heater. It's not good for it to be heating up those elements without being water in there. So turn on the water, turn on the hot water, or turn on the, and then turn on the hot water at one of your faucets, because it's gonna sputter and try to get all the air out of the system. But that'll make it so that when you turn on the power, it's not just heating up those elements real fast and real hot without any water in them. They're designed to have water around them. So water first, open up the valve somewhere so that the hot water air can escape, so you get all the air out of your system, and then you can turn on the power. So we just turned the water back on, and now we're gonna open up this hot water valve, and that's what it's gonna do. As it's filling up that hot water heater, that air has got to escape. So we still have the power off. So now we've got most of the air out of there. But every time you open a different valve, it's gonna, anytime that you're gonna open another valve in your house or any faucet in your house that's got hot water to it, it's gonna sputter a little bit because there's gonna be air trapped in the system. Not worried about that too much. I'm more worried about air being trapped in the hot water heater. I'm sure whoever takes their shower for the first time will be a little bit worried about it, because it's gonna blow some air at them. And then you can turn on the power. So, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button below. And if you want to see more videos like this come up in your feed, please subscribe to our channel. And if you want to find out when our next video comes out every week, hit that notification bell below, and that'll send you a notification when our next video comes out, which we try to send them out every week. Thanks a lot for learning more about our farm, and we sure appreciate it.